Welcome back to GamesIndustry.biz Live and our first event in that series, State of Games. If you've missed any of our talks so far, we've had Sensor Tower, Nico Partners, Newzoo, Beta Boost, and Ipsos Mori. You can rewatch all of those videos on YouTube right now, but don't go anywhere, for we have our final talk before we get to the panel. That talk is going to be from Stanley Pierre-Louis from the Entertainment Software Association, who'll be delivering us the essential facts about the US games industry. So over to you, Stan.
Hi. I'm Stan Pierre-Louis, President and CEO of the Entertainment Software Association. As you may know, the ESA serves as the voice and advocate for the video game industry. We're excited to be participating in this dialogue on how the video game industry is positioned in the new global marketplace. What we know about this new global marketplace is that it presents several challenges that are economic, technological, and cultural in nature. However, as we've seen in recent months, the video game industry has risen to these challenges. In fact, the video game industry has been one of the few bright spots in the global economy this year. According to NPD, consumer spending on video games saw an increase of 9% during the first quarter of this year as compared to the same period last year. Those numbers have only soared in recent months, with spending up 73% in April, 52% in May, and 26% in June compared to those same months last year. In addition, engagement among users has been high. In April, Microsoft reported that the number of subscribers to its Game Pass service passed 10 million. They also saw a 70% growth in friendship rate and a 130% increase in multiplayer gaming. And in May, Nintendo announced sales of its Switch console were up 24% year over year, while its game, Animal Crossing New Horizons, had sold 13.5 million copies since its release in late March. According to Statista, as of March, time spent playing video games was up 45% in the US and 29% in the UK. Now, many industry leaders have described these spikes as a surge rather than as the new normal for sales. And that's probably right. However, even when those numbers come back to earth, the trend before COVID suggests that we will still see strong growth in our sector overall and for all game genres. All of these data points and observations match up with what we've been finding through our surveys of consumer behavior and attitudes as it relates to the video game sector. We've assembled those data points in our new report entitled Essential Facts About the Video Game Industry. Let's dive in. The survey results I'm about to share come from research we conducted with our partner Ipsos of nearly 4,000 US adults in December 2019, with some additional refresh this summer to reflect the COVID-19 pandemic. Our findings confirm that the US is a nation of gamers. In fact, more than 214 million people play games. That's 65% of our entire population. Most are adults, and women make up 41% of players. Interestingly, the proportion of women players has been consistent going back 5 years, ranging from 41 to 44% depending on the year. And adult women bring that average up. Based on our prior surveys, adult women make up around 46% of the US video game population. As we dig deeper into the data, we see that the overwhelming number of gamers are over 18 years old. In fact, we're seeing tremendous growth as people reach 55 and older. Our prior surveys indicate that just as many people over 50 play as those under 18, around 21%. Our findings are supported by other studies as well, including those by the AARP, which is the nation's largest nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting policies and programs that help Americans age 50 and over. In a 2019 survey, they found that 44% of Americans age 50 and over enjoy video games at least once a month. That's up from 38% in 2016. So it's no surprise that the average age range for a video game player in the United States is between 35 years old and 44 years old. Or that 75% of US households have at least one video game player in their household. Back in 2012, that number was at 49%, but it's been steadily rising over the years, reaching 65% by 2017, and has been stable at 75% these past couple of years. As we think about the reach of video games to all communities, our friends at the Able Gamers charity inform us that there are approximately 46 million video game players with disabilities. That's why innovations like the Xbox Adaptive Controller and other game accessibility enhancements are necessary to ensure that those with physical limitations can engage as fully as possible in the video game community. So that's some background on who makes up the video game playing population in the United States. Here's why we play. No question, we play because games are fun and because they're engaging. But we also play to connect with others. In fact, 65% of US gamers play with others, either online or in person. That's up from 63% last year. What's really telling, though, is that we're also playing longer together. Last year, US gamers played approximately 8.3 hours per week with others. This year, the data shows an increase to 10.9 hours, with the biggest increase coming from online play with others. When playing with others, 42% say that they play with friends, 27% say they play with a spouse or a partner, 24% with other family members, 17% say they play with teams or guilds, and 7% say they play with their parents. Speaking of playing with others and significant others, some 30% of players report having met a friend, a spouse, or significant other through video games. Perhaps there's a Fortnite wedding in the offing. Another interesting finding is that 40% of people indicated that they met people through video games that they would not have otherwise met. That truly speaks to the global reach of video games. Players also pointed out that there were positive impacts to their mental well-being in playing games. 63% say that it helps them with problem-solving skills. 79% say that it relieves their stress. And 80% find that video games provide mental stimulation. Those numbers support the anecdotal evidence we have heard from community members. How we play is also changing. While 73% of gamers own a console, the most common device for gameplay today is a smartphone, and mainly for casual games. Prior to 2018, however, personal computers and consoles were the most used formats for video game play. That really speaks to the growth of smartphones and gaming apps to meet new consumer demand. It's also interesting to note when people play. The majority of users, 51%, play after school or after work. That probably ensures deeper engagement than other contexts, such as waiting for appointments, taking breaks, or commuting. We're also seeing tremendous engagement in all age groups. In fact, half of today's gamers have been playing for less than 15 years. That bodes well for the future of our industry. We're really excited, though, that families are finding the information provided about video game ratings by the ESRB to be extremely helpful to their purchasing decisions. They also appreciate the large number of choices they have when selecting games for their families. In fact, the overwhelming number of console games, some 87%, are rated E, E10+, or for teens. According to the ESRB, 87% of parents are aware of their ratings. 92% pay attention to the games their child plays. 83% trust the ratings, and 87% find parental controls on game devices useful. Those are impressive numbers, but they're also reassuring. Parents are also deeply engaged with their children who play games. In fact, 95% are present when their child acquires video games, while 86% require permission for their child to make purchases. Also, 73% of parents believe games are educational, while 55% play games with their child at least once a week. Finally, I thought I would share a few snapshots about gamers by demographic. we found that men aged 18 to 34 primarily play on consoles and prefer action games. They also tend to play with others, with 70% of them reporting that games help them stay connected to friends and family. By contrast, women aged 18 to 34 primarily play games on smartphones and prefer casual games. Men aged 35 to 54 also prefer consoles and action games, but interestingly, 83% say that games help them relax. By contrast, women aged 35 to 54 primarily play games on smartphones and prefer casual games, but like their male counterparts, 77% say that games help them relax. As we look at older demographics, game preferences start to change. For example, men aged 55 to 64 primarily play on smartphones and prefer casual games. 87% of them say that games provide them with mental stimulation. Similarly, women aged 55 to 64 primarily play on smartphones, and they prefer casual games. And 82% of them say that games provide them with mental stimulation. Finally, men 65 and older primarily play games on a PC and prefer to play alone. Interestingly, 46% have been playing for 10 years or less. That means they picked up playing video games in their mid-50s. Women 65 and older also prefer playing games on a PC and playing alone. And similar to the men in their age group, 63% have been playing for 10 years or less. That means they picked up playing games in their mid-50s, but at a higher rate than the men. Ultimately, what the data demonstrates is that video games have become the leading form of entertainment because they bring us joy, connection, and a sense of belonging when we need it most. Their value to society has never been more vital. And given recent trends, their value to society will continue to rise. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, the Entertainment Software Association, for what was our penultimate session of the day. Our final session, though, is in just a few moments. It's a panel on the state of the games market and where it is going. It's on at 7:30 UK time, 2:30 Eastern time, 11:30 Pacific time. We've got Newzoo, Ipsos Mori, Nico Partners, Beta Boost, most of the speakers that you've seen throughout today, and all of them will be speaking with our wonderful senior staff writer, Rebecca Valentine. So do come back for that. Come back to that via live.gamesindustry.biz or our YouTube channel to be able to watch that. So we'll see you in just a few moments for our final session. Thank you.